Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We continue reading from Caitanya Caritamrita Adi-Lila. We are on chapter 7 and text 100. We have been hearing the glories of chanting the holy name. So, ye kichu kahile tumi sabha satya haya Krishna prema se paya yara bhagyodaya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what you have said is all true. Only one who is favored by fortune attains love of Godhead. One who is actually very fortunate can begin Krishna consciousness, as stated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Srila Rupa Goswami. So in Caitanya Caritamrita Adi-Lila, chapter 19, text 151, Lord Chaitanya is telling to Srila Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya, Bhakti Lata Bija. There are millions of living entities who have become conditioned by the laws of material nature, and they are wandering throughout the planetary systems of this universe in different bodily forms. Among them, one who is fortunate meets a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna and comes to understand the meaning of devotional service. By discharging devotional service under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master or acharya, he develops love of Godhead. One whose love of Godhead, Krishna Prema, is awakened and who thus becomes a devotee of the inconceivable Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered extremely fortunate. So Lord Chaitanya, he's explaining to Srila Rupa Goswami that there are millions and millions of living entities, and the living entities are going, in the cycle of birth and death, taking up one body, giving up another body. And like that, we are wandering in different universes. It's not that we are taking birth and dying only in the human species of life, only on this earth planet. No, sometimes we are in animal bodies, sometimes we are in plant bodies, sometimes in fish body, sometimes in human body, sometimes in demigod body. And that not only we are limited to this one planet. No, sometimes we are in one universe, sometimes another universe. Like that, we are wandering. And we have been wandering since time immemorial. Then one who is fortunate by some good fortune, one who is fortunate meets a bona fide spiritual master. Bona fide spiritual master is one who is the authorized representative of Krishna, who has been authorized by Krishna to be a spiritual master. This is by the grace of Krishna, and he comes to understand the meaning of devotional service. Because a bona fide spiritual master is going to speak to us about devotional service. He is going to give us devotional service, and he's going to speak to us about the science of Krishna. So when such a fortunate living entity discharges devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, then he develops his love of God, the love of God which is dormant in the heart, that sprouts up, it's developed. And Lord Chaitanya continues that one whose love of God has developed, who has awakened, he is very fortunate. He becomes a devotee of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is inconceivable. Because the Supreme Lord is inconceivable, that's the reason there are so many misconceptions, misinterpretations. And so the Supreme Lord, we need to hear about the Supreme Lord from what knows him, from the devotee. The devotee knows the Supreme Lord, so he can help us to clarify all the misinterpretations. So such a person is extremely fortunate, because imagine, we are going around different species of life, different universes, just going on like that, birth, death, taking on one body to another. By good fortune, by the grace of Krishna, we can get this association of a bona fide spiritual master. The Mayavadi sannyasis admitted this fact to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Prakashananda Saraswati and all the other sannyasis who were present there, they are accepting this fact. They're saying, yes, what you're saying is true, It's not easy for one to become a Krishna conscious person, but by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it can be possible, as will be proven in the course of this narration. So to understand Krishna is very difficult. It's not easy to approach Krishna, but by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it has become easy. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, it has become easy. Krishna bhakti kara ihaya sabar santosha vedanta nashuna kene tara kiba dosha. Dear sir, there is no objection to your being a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Everyone is satisfied with this. But why do you avoid discussion on the Vedanta Sutra? What is the fault in it? So because Prakashananda Saraswati was telling Lord Chaitanya, why are you not studying Vedanta Sutra? You're only chanting and dancing. So Lord Chaitanya explained to him all the glories of the holy name. So now they are saying, okay, now we understand why you're chanting and dancing. But why aren't you discussing Vedanta Sutra? What is the fault in that? There he's putting a further question. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments in this connection. Mayavadi sannyasis accept that the commentary by Sri Shankaracharya, known as Shariraka Bhasya, gives the real meaning of Vedanta Sutra. In other words, Mayavadi sannyasis accept the meanings expressed in the explanations of the Vedanta Sutra by Shankaracharya, which are based on monism. So Sripad Shankaracharya, he wrote the commentary on Vedanta Sutra. He wrote the monistic theory. He wrote the impersonal theory that this Lord, that at the ultimate end, everything is just one. That is monism. So thus they explain the Vedanta Sutra, the Upanishads, and all such Vedic literatures in their own impersonal way. So this is the impersonal theory. The great Mayavadi sannyasi Sadanand Yogendra has written a book known as Vedanta Sar, in which he writes, Vedanto Nama Upanishad Paramanam Tat Upakarane Sharirika Sutra Dinicha. According to Sadanand Yogendra, the Vedanta Sutra and Upanishads, as presented by Sri Shankaracharya in his Sharirika Bhasya commentary, are the only sources of Vedic evidence. Actually, however, Vedanta refers to the essence of Vedic knowledge, and it is not a fact that there is nothing more than Shankaracharya's Sharirika Bhasya. There are other Vedanta commentaries written by Vaishnava Acharyas, none of whom follow Sri Shankaracharya or accept the imaginative commentary of his school. Their commentaries are based on the philosophy of duality. So the Vaishnava Acharyas, they have written the commentaries also, which are the real commentaries and not speculation. The impersonal commentary is very speculative. It has a lot of word jugglery, trying too hard. It tries too hard to prove that God does not exist, that at the ultimate end, the soul and the super soul is one. But whereas all the Vedas, they are openly declaring there is a soul, there is a super soul, there is a relationship between the soul and super soul. Lord Krishna is himself saying all this in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita himself, Krishna is clearly saying this. So monist philosophers like Shankaracharya and his followers want to establish that God and the living entity are one. And instead of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they present themselves as God. They want to be worshipped as God by others. So this is the theory of monism. And that is the fault in it, because it says that the living entity and God is the same. It means to say that the soul is God. And so then everyone should worship me because I'm God. It means that there is no God and that I am God. You are God. Everyone is God. And so if I'm God, so I deserve worship. I deserve adoration. Such persons do not accept the philosophies of the Vaishnava Acharyas, which are known as the Shuddha Advaita, purified monism. Shuddha Advaita, purified dualism. Vishishta Advaita, specific monism. Dvaita Advaita, monism and dualism. And Achintya Beda Abeda, inconceivable oneness and difference. Mayavadis do not discuss these philosophies, for they're firmly convinced of their own philosophy of Kevala Advaita, exclusive monism. Accepting this system of philosophy as the pure understanding of the Vedanta Sutra, they believe that Krishna has a body made of material elements and that the activities of loving service to Krishna are sentimentality. So this is the Mayavad philosophy. Mayavad philosophy states monism, that God, that the living entity, the soul, the Jivatma is God. And so he needs to be worshipped. And they believe that the form of God, the form of Krishna is material. And that bhakti, the activities of loving service to Krishna, are just sentimental. They're known as Mayavadis because according to their opinion, Krishna has a body made of Maya. And the loving service of the Lord, executed by devotees, is also Maya. So they're calling everything as Maya. That's why they're called Mayavadis. They're saying Krishna's form is Maya. They're saying Bhakti is Maya. So they're called Mayavadi. They consider such devotional service to be an aspect of fruitive activities, karma kand. According to their view, bhakti consists of mental speculation or sometimes meditation. This is the difference between the Mayavadi and Vaishnava philosophies. So the Mayavadis say that bhakti is just some meditation, or it's just something made up in the mind, or it's just some karma kand that you're going to get some bias activities from it. So this is the Mayavad philosophy, whereas the Vaishnava philosophy is deeply rooted in the Vedic scriptures, which explains that we, the living entities, we have a loving relationship with Krishna, with a very loving relationship with God. We are not God. We are part and parcel of God. We have the same quality as God, but very different in quantity. God is conscious, we are conscious. God is spirit, we are spirit, but our size is very different. And we have a loving relationship with God, and we need to be situated in that relationship. So this is the difference between the Vaishnava philosophy and Mayavad philosophy. Mayavad philosophy says, I am God, whereas Vaishnava philosophy says, no, we are not God. We are part and parcel of God. Okay. So any questions or comments? If no, then we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening and enjoying it. Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.